Welcome back to the garden here at the Okaloosa County Extension Office. I hope if you're doing one at home, you're enjoying your garden as much as we have enjoyed this one. Yesterday it rained a lot, so we didn't have to do any watering, but look at the growth that's going on. Our tomatoes are way above the tomato cages now with lots and lots of yellow blooms, and look what's showing up. We've got some baby tomatoes already that have set. And see this big leaf intertwined that's growing with it? Remember the twining vines? Those are our cucumbers, and we've got baby cucumbers getting started all over them. So we'll have some of those before long too. You see the blooms down here with the cucumber? And that's a little cucumber right behind it. So we've got several of the fruits and vegetables that are going to be doing quite a good job on here. Look at our squash. They've got very big in the last week also. And you can see what I was talking about before when we have those that don't get pollinated. See that one right down there? It didn't get pollinated, so it has rotted away. It's not going to develop. However, several of these others, look at this great big one on this side. That one did get pollinated. So we know we're going to get some decent squash on some of these. But you will see them now. You can see some of the big differences between the males and the female flowers. There's your male flower with nothing behind it, and the female flower with the fruit behind it. We're getting both of them equally now, so we should be getting good pollination on these. I have gone through and removed some of the damaged leaves, as well as taken off some of the leaves that are close to the ground so we can get some good airflow through here too, and to avoid some of the disease problems. Because remember our potatoes? Let's look at those over here. These are the potatoes that got put in the 2nd of March. And notice that they have got some brown spots, some diseased leaves on them. All the other ones that were put in at the Baker School, we put in February. Those were the ones that got in at the time when it was still a little cooler, and we haven't had any disease problems on any of these. So it does matter when you're planting, and when it likes that cool weather, try to get them in as early as you can. Now, one of the first clues we have about potatoes being ready is when they're starting to flower. So look what's going on here. Our potatoes have started to set some blooms, and these have been in a couple of months. So we know when that flower starts that there are tubers forming. There are going to be some real small young potatoes in the ground there. So let's go ahead and get them fertilized, get them larger and developing, so maybe in a couple of weeks we'll be able to dig these up and see how many potatoes we've actually got. But they've been losing a little color and they've been a little stunted, so it's time for fertilizer. So when we talk about fertilizer, plants require 16 different nutrients. Nutrients are like the vitamins that you would take each day. And without all 16 of those, that plant cannot develop correctly. It can't complete all the processes that it needs. However, many of them, those nutrients, the plant can get from just the air or the soil by itself, like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. They're coming out of the air as well as the water when it rains. So we don't have to supply extra amounts of those. However, in order to encourage them to find more in the root system, we sometimes will add such things as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK. Those are the top 3 macro elements, the nutrients that the plant needs the most of. So when you go to look for a bag of fertilizer, you want to read that bag and see what the numbers are on the fertilizer. So let's look at this bag over here. This is the one we're going to be using today. And you see it says 20, 20, 20. And the nitrogen's 20%, the phosphorus is 20%, and the potassium is 20%. That's what those three numbers mean. It's going to give you a balanced, equal fertilizer. Nitrogen makes the leaves grow. Phosphorus encourages those new roots and gets them going, as well as helps it flower. And then potassium makes those roots get really long and expand, and allows it to be tolerant of stresses like disease and pest problems. So those three nutrients are the most important to the plant, and we want to make sure that they're going to have enough. And since our potatoes are restricted in their baskets, they can't find it in the soil on their own, they're dependent on you to supply it. So we're going to add that to them. So this is a water-soluble fertilizer. And if you guys wanted to do some serious math, you could read through this bag and see that the heavy feeders like vegetables need 350 to 400 parts per million in order to get the right amount of nutrients. Well, we're not going to make a great big tank. We're just going to use a 2-gallon watering can. So for the 20% there, to get 750, I need 1 tablespoon. Well, I don't want 750, I want half of that. So if it's 1 tablespoon is going to make 750 in 1 gallon, what am I going to have if I put that 1 tablespoon in 2 gallons? I'm going to have half of the 750. So what is that, guys? 375, right? That's right in the middle. That's exactly what we need. So 1 tablespoon in 2 gallons of water. That's what we need to use. So we'll get that 1 tablespoon, and this is kind of cool. When you put it in the water, it turns the water blue. That way you know that it is dissolving in the water. Now this stuff will burn because it is a quick release fertilizer, so you don't want to be getting it in your eyes or in a cut on your hand. Alright, stir it up, don't play with it. It's meant to put fertilizer on the plant. We'll add that to our watering can with the rest of our water. So we got a full 2 gallons, and then we will be adding about that much, about a pint or so, to each of these individual potatoes, so that they will be able to keep on growing, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of greening, a little bit of faster growth, and some bigger potatoes as a result. This is what we need to get accomplished this week, is getting them fertilized so that we'll be able to harvest them hopefully in a week or 2. So I'm going to continue on watering the rest of those. You guys check your garden and see what's going on. We've had a few insects starting to show up. Keep an eye on them and make sure that you're keeping the water and maybe a little bit of fertilizer to them. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you next week. Keep your garden growing.